Hey everyone, welcome back to this week's Weekly D, where I have the lovely Morgane on with me, aka Momo. This is a pole dancer from France who I have admired for a long time for the style that she has of her editing. It's crazy, like some of the edits that she does are awesome. And we also go into a little bit of detail on influencer life, working with brands. So I'm super excited for you to listen to this one. I am going to put a little warning out there that there is a little period in this episode where she might go a little bit fuzzy, but it does fix itself. I apologize for that. So without further ado, this is the Weekly D. Because honey, if you ain't getting your D on the daily, you better at least be getting it once on the weekly.
Weekly D. If you're not getting any and you want some tea, then come and join Dan up on the Weekly D. It's the Weekly D.
Welcome, Morgane. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. I'm super excited to have you on. I want to just ask you quickly before we go into all of these questions. I assume I say that incorrectly because in the UK we would say Morgan, but in France you probably say it very pretty and beautiful. Do you say like Morgane or how do you say it?
I say Morgane in French, but Morgan is fine.
Morgane.
You can just say Momo too.
Yeah,
That works
do you
too.
know what? I feel like Momo. So does everyone in France call you Momo?
A lot of people, yeah. Like my friends and
Nice,
a
fair
lot of my
enough.
students,
Well,
my family.
okay, so it's like a nickname for Morgan,
Yeah,
Momo.
exactly.
It's cute. I like it. So, we are here today to talk to you about social media, to talk to you about how you've built up the following that you have and just any tips and tricks you have. But before we get started, I always like my guests to kind of just like do an introduction, tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of let people know who you are. So, tell us a bit about you.
Okay. So my name is Morgan. I'm a millennial. I do pole dance and contortion and yoga, and I don't really know what to say about myself. But yeah,
But so I guess like do you do anything else apart from pole or is pole your full-time thing?
no, now it's my full-time job, but it used to be a part-time thing because when you start, it's difficult to make a real living out of it. And but now it's my
Right.
full-time job.
Okay, nice. And you're working full-time at pole and dance in Paris, is that right?
Yes, yes, full-time.
Nice. How many hours a week are you teaching?
A lot. Probably
Do you
between,
have a day off?
yes, yes. I do very occasionally. I sometimes don't have days off when I fill in for a lot of people and take more classes because some people are not there. But otherwise, I try to have
Yeah.
at least 1 or 2 days off a week. But I do teach a lot. I have like
Nice.
between
Okay.
20 and 30, sometimes I have like 30 hours of collective classes during the week without private classes.
Oh,
Yeah.
30 hours. Oh my
But 30
God, that
hours
would
is
kill
when I
me.
do more classes because, I fill in for someone that's on holidays or something like that. It's not every week.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my God, thank God. I don't think like that would just be so intense on the body. And what did you do before pole?
I did like very, I don't even know how to say that in English. So like business stuff at the office, like
Oh, okay, so like
international
office, like an
business
office job.
stuff. Yeah, like very unrelated to pole and sport.
Okay. And when did you decide that you were going to pursue the pole career and, chase your pole goals?
So when I started, like a couple of years after I started, people came to me and asked me if I wanted to teach at the studio. And I said yes. I didn't really, it didn't start like I'm going to change my whole career path. I just started to teach on the side. And then I realized I really, really like to teach and I want to do more of that. And then at some point, I was like, I'm going to take a leap of faith and try to make a living out of that. And hopefully, I can do it full time at some point. So I didn't really decide to do it full time.
Nice. And how long have you been doing it full time for now?
Um, I'm actually not sure. I think probably, wait, what year is it? At least 6 years, probably. Yeah, something like
Ah,
that.
okay. So pre-COVID, so
Yes,
before
but
COVID
not
happened.
like maybe 1 or 2 years before COVID, something like that. But yeah, before COVID, I was already full time.
And how was COVID for you actually? This is something I haven't discussed on the podcast with anyone yet because it just hasn't come up. But obviously,
Eh,
you were a full-time teacher at the time, living in Paris. How was COVID for you? That must have been a real struggle.
So I don't full live in Paris full time because it's the I'm gonna talk about my life a bit, but like because I've been with my boyfriend for 10 years and he has kids, and so the he lives in Amiens, which is a city in the north of France, and because of that, I'm going back and forth between Paris and there. So when we closed the studio for COVID, I actually wasn't in Paris; I was there, and
Ah, okay.
yeah, most of the time I came when we closed, but it was not like lockdown. I came a bit in Paris like every month, but it was like maybe one weekend a month. That's it. So I was not full time in Paris during the whole 2 first years of COVID, where when it was a bit crazy. It was hard.
Sure.
It was hard. So
And do you want to get that?
because we had to close the
When
studio for so long, like we couldn't work. And for the first lockdown, it was completely closed. And then when we opened, we had so many rules to teach. And then it was
yeah.
locked down again. And then we had to close for like 8 months. So
Wow. And your boyfriend that you've been with for 10 years, you said he's got kids. How far away does he live?
it's like if you take the car, it's 2 hours from Paris. And if you go by train, it's 1 hour.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I've been doing it for so long, so now I'm
Oh,
used to
okay.
it. But yeah, it's different. It's a rhythm.
So if you're working obviously in Paris Monday to I assume Monday to Friday, are you then going back to your boyfriend's on the weekends or something? That sounds crazy.
Most of the time, yes. Honestly, the schedule change every week, every year. So sometimes it was him who was coming in Paris more, and sometimes it's me. But yeah, now it's mostly me going there on the weekend, except when I
Oh,
teach on the
that's nice
weekend.
though. Yeah, sure, of course. And you're so you've lived in Paris like for your whole life, but
Yeah.
you met your boyfriend, I assume, in Paris. So whereabouts did you grow up? Did you actually grow up in the center of Paris?
Yeah, I'm born and raised in Paris.
So and you're not tempted to go and live out where your boyfriend lives, no?
No, I don't plan to do
No.
that. That's not one of my plans. I would have already done that at this point if I wanted to. No, I really don't want to do that. I'm not ready for that. I can live somewhere else,
Sure.
but and also, like with the job we're doing, it's very difficult to be more in the countryside because you have less opportunity to teach than in the capital.
Right, okay. Because
I'm
there's not as
teaching a
many
lot of
studios and
hours,
stuff near
and
there, yeah.
yeah, it's harder to do it full time if you're doing it a bit like in a smaller city.
Yeah. And is he in the north or the south of France?
No, it's the north
It's the north. Nice. I've
where
I've
it's less sunny and colder.
Right. Oh, that sucks. I've always been told that, like, and I hope you're not offended by this. I'm sure you've heard it many times, but I've heard that people who live in Paris, like Parisians, are very like, they live in Paris, they love Paris, they refuse to go anywhere else. They also, not many of them like enjoy speaking English. Whenever I've been to Paris, I'll like try to speak English to someone and they'll be like, ugh. You know, it's like you can just tell they're just like, I do not want to speak
Oh
to you in English. Don't make me speak to you in English. Is that what? Are you a bit like that or not so much?
no, but some people are, but I'm not like that. No, no, I just it's not a part of France that I really would love to leave, but also it's mostly my job, honestly, because I really love my job and I wouldn't go somewhere I cannot teach. I don't want to go back to working in an office.
Of
That's a big
course.
no.
Yeah,
So
I
that's
understand
mostly
that.
it. But like I'm open to living somewhere else. I do love my city, but I'm sure it's great everywhere else. It's just,
Yeah.
you know,
I
I don't know.
feel
And I
like
have
the
my
whole
whole
Paris
family here
thing.
too. I love being able to see my family.
Of course. I feel like the whole Paris thing is very similar to like London. Like, so in London, like people like refuse to leave London. Like so I go to a studio near where I live. It's literally like from London, it's a train journey, but it's not long. It probably takes less than an hour. But literally Londoners are like, is it on the tube? And I'm like, no, you have to get a train. They're like, oh, if they have to get on a train, they're like, no. If it's on the tube, if it's on the underground, they're absolutely happy to go wherever. But if it means they have to take a train, they're like, no, I'm not going there. Is it similar in Paris?
Yeah, a lot of people are like that. Yes.
Yeah. Yes, fair enough. I understand. So we want to talk to you today about social media because I'm really intrigued by your style that you do on social media and how you run your page. So one thing I wanted to talk to you about was the style of how you post and what you do on your Instagram because it's very much evolved since when I first started following you. When I first started following you, you used to do a lot of like yoga and like tricks sort of posts. And now you're very much doing like tricks and a lot of exotic style. When did that change and what made you decide to change?
So I think it just evolves with uh, my life and how everything is going on. It's just that I'm teaching so much more now than before COVID, for example, that I don't have the energy to do a 3 hours training and then teach, and then I have to do it all over again the day after. So because I used to be able to train for 3 hours and then I would teach in at night right after, but then I would be off the day after. So it was fine because I had a lot of time to recover. I have to keep my energy to be able to teach. So I still do a lot of combo and tricks and stuff like that, but I don't necessarily take the time to film it because when you film, you want it to be uh, pretty with like a nice and clear background and no one around and stuff like that. So I don't necessarily take the time to film those, and I just teach them in class and do them with my students. And um, I do a lot less contortion training too because I don't have that much time. So I have to choose. I cannot do everything. Unfortunately, I wish I had longer days and longer weeks. So I just train less, flexibility, and train. It a lot, but with my students in class, and I don't have that much to present. I don't take the time to film those things. I enjoy dancing more when I train because I don't know. It just evolved with my practice and my teaching and how many hours in the week I have to do stuff for me.
Um, so when you started doing more heel stuff, are you doing more heel stuff because I don't know how to word this because I don't want to offend anyone, but obviously, like, do you find it easier to record heels content? Is that you find it just as hard?
No, no. It's actually very hard. And like in pole, when you want to do something very fluid and clean and stuff like that, you have to do it so many times. Otherwise, it just doesn't look good. Um, I don't know. I just enjoy dancing more. I used to do exotic, but a lot less. And I'm teaching it more. I don't have like that many classes of exotic every week, but I have like 2 or 3 classes a week with exotic. I just enjoy creating more and playing more with eels. Um, it's not that I find it easier. It's actually not really that easy. But I don't know. I just
Yeah,
enjoy doing it. I said that
yeah,
a
I
lot of
think
time.
for me, I do, if I'm being real honest, I do find certain aspects of heels a little bit easier. For example, yesterday I made a new choreo and I made it within about 45 minutes. And then I, spent another 30 minutes recording it. And that was a really productive session for me. Whereas if I was doing tricks, I've got to find the tricks I want to train. I've got to train them, learn them, then I've got to try and record them. It just takes longer, that's all. And I think my body now, I mean, I'm 35 and I guess I'm just getting to a point where tricks take a little bit more of a toll on my body. Do you find the same?
Yeah, it's actually a bit more tiring and it takes more energy to train. But sometimes I would have the same with tricks. Like some session, I would do a lot and be very creative and be able to create combo and combine a lot of things, and it would come to me very easily. And sometimes it was like everything I tried was just super hard, and it was just like one of those days where everything takes a long time, and everything I want to try is something that will take me many tries. And when I say tries, I mean many sessions. Like sometimes you just have to sleep
For
on it
sure.
and repeat. But it happens to me with heels too. Like sometimes I create a choreo and it comes just like that, and I just have everything very fast. And then sometimes I just it just takes a lot of time and I create, and then I'm like, no, I don't like it, and I have to do it all over again. But it's not the same kind of tiring. It is easier on the body, but it
Yeah,
still
it
needs a lot of
requires
work.
for me, I'd say, a little bit more cardio, and that's fine. I can do cardio, no problem. It's more like the strength and the shoulder strength and stuff. Like I find doing that for longer periods of time much harder now than I used to when I was younger. But I definitely wouldn't say it's easy.
Yeah, but I also think that because we do have a certain level, we
Maybe.
find it easier. But when you're a beginner, it's still very hard because a lot of thing that requires the pull and the push, it's not as much pull and push as when you do something very high and very demanding. But then again, when you're a
Yeah,
beginner, it's
absolutely.
a
I
lot.
agree. And
So
I want to talk to you about your. So you changed your style. That was great. I really love seeing that transition, and now I really love watching your heels content. When you changed your content and you started posting more heels, how did you find that affected your following? Because for anyone that's listening to this now, maybe thinking of changing their style, um, I'm intrigued to know how it affected your following. Because for me, when I started dancing in heels more and started posting more, I lost a lot of followers. Did you find the same?
yeah, I think I did. It also happened at the time where like Instagram changed a
Mm-hmm.
lot for the past years, and it's becoming a more it's a bit more difficult to grow and to engage with people and to get the people to see your content. But yeah, I think I definitely lost a bit of followers, and some people are not engaging as much. But at the end, I just want to be authentic and do something that I like. And if it evolves and some people are not interested, that's fine. You can like you can have everyone like you anyway. So, and whatever you post, someone's gonna be angry
Have
at
you
you.
ever had
And
anyone be angry at you and like comment on your stuff saying that they're not happy about it?
yeah, a lot of people comment. Well, I don't have to train, especially exotic and like the outfit that I do, but I find them pretty, so I still want to do that. But like people are angry at you because you're doing it in heels, and why do you do it in heels? And those heels are ugly, and why do you have to wear that like clothes like that with so little fabric and so much skin and stuff like that. People, but if it's not that, it's gotta be
Do you
something
find
else,
comments
you
like
know?
that mainly come from people who don't do pole, or do you get that from people in the pole community?
It's mostly people who don't do pole. But on Instagram, I find you get that less because like it's different from TikTok, for example, where on TikTok, everyone is on the For You page with, it's not
Yeah.
necessarily people you follow. Whereas on Instagram, people are more on their feed where it's people they follow. So it's mostly things you like and you enjoy. On TikTok, you get more things like that, especially if your video goes viral and then it's muggles that see your stuff, then it can go crazy and people are like, it's a whole other vibe. But it happens sometimes from people who are doing it, and maybe they're young, so they're not used to all the different variation of pole and how everyone has their style, and it's okay
For
for
sure.
everyone to want something different. And sometimes it's people that are just very judgmental. Even if they do pole, they're like, "Oh, but like, why do you do that? You make us look bad."
Oh, so you think there are some people like pole dancers that think that that style makes us look bad?
Yeah, definitely there is. There,
I
I don't know if it's because they haven't been pole dancing for so long, or if they
maybe.
are not aware that that pole dancing comes from strippers and the club and stuff like that. But I've definitely had people telling me basically, "Stop! You make us look bad."
I've noticed
Like,
actually that you definitely see less exotic style, I mean, especially stripper style. I mean, in France. Why is that? Is France quite a reserved country, do you think?
I don't. Yes and no. I'm not sure it's more reserved than the US, for example.
Uh-huh.
But because I don't know, it's different, because in the US there is a lot of stuff you can't say on TV or stuff like that. And like people are, oh my God, a tit or something like that.
Yeah.
We don't really have that. So I just think it's different. But I also noticed like when I started pole, you would start, you would come to class. It was so long ago, but when you came to class, they would tell you, bring some heels. Even if it was not like the platform style, they would tell you to bring some heel to the class.
Right.
And to do the class. Like you would try pole in heels.
Yeah.
And then there was a long period of several years where everyone was more about, I don't know if it was just in France, or I think it was a bit internationally, honestly, but everyone was more like about sport and
Yeah.
trying to get away from heels, and like not trying to make heels look bad, but trying to differentiate from it. And I was still a student and I still liked heels, but you would see it a lot less
Yeah.
around on social media and even in class. And then it started to came back, but it wasn't that developed That's true. And I think we do have people who do a lot of heels, but it's very specific people. And a lot of people are more into tricks and into the sport aspect. But it changed a lot. I
Yeah,
think it's really starting to grow in France. I'm excited that we have more classes
agreed.
in Paris and in France about
I
that.
definitely think that maybe the UK was a little bit more ahead than France was, but I think yeah, the US as well. I've noticed there's not so many. Like I can't think of many like US pole dancers. I know there are some obviously, but there's not. I can't think of as many big name US pole dancers that are doing heels and stuff than I can maybe Europeans. Um, and I don't know again whether that's because of like just the differences in cultures. Maybe I don't know, but I do love seeing that it's come around because when I first started, it was the same. When I first started, a lot of the girls did the routines every week in heels. I didn't, but they did. And then we went towards this pole sport era where everyone was wanting to do pole in the Olympics. Oh, let's do a pole sport competition and get pole in the Olympics. And then now it's like people are now pushing away from that. I know I definitely am because I don't. I used to want pole to be in the Olympics, and now I'm like, meh. I don't really care whether it is or not. I'm just happy doing my thing. And so
Yeah.
yeah, it's changed a lot for sure. Now, one thing I wanted to speak to you about was your one of the styles of posting that you do on your socials is with the heels stuff. I've noticed it. I don't know if you do it with tricks as well, but you'll post it's almost like a tutorial style, but you're kind of like, oh, here's 3 ways to do kips, or here's 3 ways to, do a leg wave in your heels. Do you find that content like that is more popular than just posting a video? Do you find that's quite popular content?
Most of the time, yes. I think of it more like an inspo thing. I'm sure tutorials are very popular too, but yeah, I think it's actually very popular because people are saving it to come back to it. They're not necessarily liking it when they save it, but yeah, and people are engaging with the content a bit more. So it works nicely
Yeah,
on
sure.
Instagram.
Yeah, I've noticed that one thing I always tell people when they're trying to ask me about growing their social media is like, I always say to them, like, when you post it, what value is it going to provide to the person watching it? Like, are they going to save it? Are they going to learn something from it? Are they going to laugh at it? Or are they going to cry at it, for example? But if it's just a poll video, what are they going to get from that? And loads of people are like, well, I don't post because I want people to get something from it. And that's okay if you don't want to grow your social media, right? But if you want to grow your
Yeah.
social media, I find like you really have to give something back a little bit. Hey, what's up, everyone? I just wanted to interrupt this episode with a quick little bit of information on my online business, The Pole Destroyers. If you haven't found out about it already, the Pole Destroyers is an online platform which provides strength and conditioning coaching for pole online from the comfort of your own home. And I can't tell you how many pole dancers I meet on a daily basis who aren't able to achieve some of their dream moves because they aren't strong enough. And now you can be by training from the comfort of your own home with this strength and conditioning program. Many people got a lot of success from my 31-day program, which you are able to access on demand, and you can also do live classes with me. But the thing that I love about this program is that each class has an individual theme. So we do all sorts of different themed classes. We have the Pole Destroyers quiz, we have choreo cardio, we have flip the coin, dice of doom. My cat Roxy teaches a class. Yes, cats can teach conditioning. You will be gobsmacked. It's just a really good, fun way to do conditioning at a really cost effective price. So, if that's something that you're interested in, please do go and check out thepoledestroyers.com or head to my Instagram at DamRosenPole and feel free to DM me with any questions you have. Anyway, let's get back to the podcast. So, what's your most popular content that you create? Like, what do you find does the best, like performance wise?
I think it's this time of inspo post where I post stuff for people to try. It doesn't have to be heels. I've done it sometimes with tricks too, like different variation of the tricks. But this type of content where you do like a tuto or an inspirational thing where you give people ideas, it works very well.
Yeah, for sure. Because, well, I guess, do you think that's because it means that more people are going to save it, more people are going to maybe comment on it?
Yeah, I think the fact that people are engaging with it, and engaging can be like sharing, saving, commenting, liking, and stuff like that. But the fact that there can be sharing it with, I don't know, maybe their friend, like, let's try that next time, or their teacher, maybe, oh, can we try this one? Stuff like that. And the fact that they're saving it is really important for the algorithm or something like that. And then the post is shown more and it works better.
Yeah, I agree. When when I talk to people about different styles of, posts that they do on their page, for example, like with me, I do a few different. I'll do like some funny posts. I'll do pole combos. I'll do heels. And then that's my main three, I'd say: heels content, tricks content, and then maybe some funny content. That's my main three. What would you say your main bits of content are? You've obviously got your tutorial style ones where you're sort of like giving inspiration. And then you've probably got, you're just posting your choreo, maybe posting your tricks and stuff. And then you've got some like collaboration posts you're doing with brands and stuff. Have you got any other styles of posting that you do? Do you ever post anything else?
Well, I would say like the one of the main one would be like the funny, like humor video too, which I do
Yeah.
post less on Instagram, but I used to post a lot of uh, a lot of it on TikTok, like
Yeah.
a lot.
Because I used to share a lot of them on. Do you remember? I used to share a lot of them on
Yeah,
polos. Yeah. Why are you not doing so much of
I
them anymore?
don't have time.
Yeah, true.
the
Well,
the
can you
thing is,
please do more because I need more to share on
I
polos,
want to
okay?
get back to it because I actually like it. It was very scary to start doing that for me in the beginning, which can seem stupid, but like I was very, the first time I started to post this kind of video, I was very nervous and stressed about it. But yeah, I just had don't really have a lot of time. It's very difficult to jungle with everything. I don't think people
Yeah.
realize how much time it takes to create content. And I've been actually taking care of the social media of my studio now. So
Uh-huh.
it's it's also why I'm posting a bit less on my personal page because, well, I have to do my studio first and then I'm doing my personal page. So because it takes so much time, I'm trying to just do everything. It's That's just
Right.
it.
It's I feel like that's a lot. Well, a lot of people get that. And one thing that I've spoken to many people now on this podcast about is changing your style. It can be, and you just mentioned it there, it makes you quite nervous and stuff. But actually, it's one of those things that you just have to post. And if it fails, it fails. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. I remember ages ago, it's so funny. Well, it was funny because it was so bad, but like me and my friend Shane, we tried to do like a little song about pole. And I sang this song and it didn't do amazing. Like it did okay. And I remember thinking, wow, okay, I really thought this was going to hit, but it didn't. And I learned from that experience. But you said that you were nervous and stressed when you started doing posts of that. Why do you think you were nervous and stressed?
Oh, well, because a very anxious person. And
Right,
also, I don't know, I know it doesn't translate on social media because, well, it's social media, but I'm very shy and introverted person, like very,
right.
very. I really hate talking to people I don't know. Not because I don't like to meet new people, but I don't know. It's very stressful to me. So
No, I get that. I feel that. It's actually very funny. Have you ever heard of I don't know whether it'll translate to French, but basically like an extroverted introvert, which basically means someone who is
Yeah.
extroverted in some ways, but very introvert in other ways. So, for example, I would describe myself as that, which is hilarious because, again, if you were to look at my social media and these podcasts and stuff, you think, God, this guy is so extroverted. And I can be, I can turn it on absolutely. But me and my friend have this saying where we have like a certain amount of stars that we have per day. Right. And once those stars are run out, I need to recharge them. So I have to then take some time out on my own and I just need some alone time. It doesn't have to be long, maybe an hour or 2 hours, just to chill on my own in my own space, have my introvert time, and then I can go back to being an extrovert again. But do you find like you're the same in that sense?
Yeah, yeah. I'm definitely like, I really need to sometimes alone to charge the battery
For
again and
sure.
stuff like that. And I'm giving a lot when I'm teaching because, well, there tends to be a lot of people you don't know and you talk to a lot of people, which I absolutely love, but it drains me of my energy sometimes.
Of
And
course.
meeting new people, I can be very kind of extroverted if I'm with my family or people I really know well, but otherwise definitely introverted.
Yeah,
So
which I think is normal. Like I think that's pretty normal. And actually I see that in a lot of pole teachers, like because so many of us as pole teachers, and actually it's very much a fitness instructor thing. Like we're so extroverted in our classes and we're so high energy and like, yes, let's go. Like and then when you leave, I like when I get in the car after my classes, I'm like do you know what I mean? I'm just like, oh my
yeah,
God. Because I give them everything. I want them to have the
yeah,
best experience
exactly.
possible. And, you know, if they've had a bad day, I don't want to be giving them negative energy. But actually, it's funny though, I have had an instructor who I actually had to let go once, who was very much like that. She would bring her personal problems to work. But as
Mm,
instructors, we just can't do that. You just can't. It doesn't work.
no.
No. When when I mentioned earlier on about working with brands, this is something that has been discussed now quite a lot on this podcast. And I really want to get your vibe on it. You do a lot of work with Pole Junkie. How did that begin? Did they contact you or did you contact them?
Yeah, they contacted me asking me if I wanted to be, if I was interested to be a brand ambassador, and like presented me with an offer, and I said yes, yes, please.
Okay. And you work exclusively with them?
Yeah, now I work exclusively with them in the like pole clothing area. I've done some other stuff, but more with activewear or stuff like that. And yeah, yeah, lately I've been working
Nice.
exclusively with them.
And so you said you've done some other stuff previously with other people, but it was more like it wasn't pole stuff, it was more
Oh no, it
activewear.
was with pole brands before Pole Junkie, but
Ah,
I have like a right now I have like an exclusivity contract with them, so I don't promote other brands directly on my social
sure.
media. I can do it with activewear or stuff like that that they don't sell, but I can't do it with pole stuff.
Right. So you are in a contract with Pole Junkie where you have to have exclusivity with them. And is that for like, is that a yearly contract that you have
Yeah,
to renew or, okay, so it's just a year. You're not tied in for like 10
no,
years or something.
for life.
Yes,
No.
you are never allowed to leave. The only reason I ask this, and feel free to tell me if there's stuff that you don't want to say, because I'm trying to make this podcast as open and as possible. Because a lot of people listening to this are wanting to do what you do, right?
Hmm.
They want to be able to work with Pole Junkie. Like so many people would love for Pole Junkie to contact them and say, "Oh, please be an ambassador for us." You know, you're in this year contract and do you just get free clothes for that? You don't have to say how much, but do you get paid or is it just free
Uh,
clothes?
I get like credit for the trimester, for the quarter. Is that how you say it?
Okay.
So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
get like an amount of money that I can spend on their website for 3 months, for the next 3 months. And
Okay.
then I have to post like every week um, a, a collab post on Instagram with them. And then I can promote more if I want to on my stories and stuff like that. I also have like an affiliate link, and if people shop through this, I get like 5% of whatever they bought to spend more on the website and buy more clothes.
Right, okay. So you only get so you don't get payment for your post. They don't pay
No,
you per
it's like
post. No.
credit on the website.
So I wanted to ask about this, and again, listen, if Pole Junkie are listening to this is no shade at all. But we've been talking a lot in the industry about paying people
Yeah.
and how much people should be paying and stuff. Did you see? I'm literally trying to find it at the moment, and I apologize to anyone listening to this. Here we go. I think I was. Yeah, here we go. So I don't know if you follow a page called. So I don't follow this page, but it came up on my thing, and I saved a screenshot of it because I found it really interesting. Um, and someone had spoken to me about it on this podcast previously, and I think it was really good of them to post because it just gives us an idea. But within the pole community, we've kind of always gotten this thing where you don't ever get paid, you just get free stuff.
Yeah,
But actually, do you think that we should be getting paid for these posts?
I do. I'm very
Yeah,
grateful to be a brand ambassador for Paul Junkie and for like the deal we have. But I do think it would be nice if we would get paid because it's
for
a lot
sure.
of work, and it's very time consuming and everything. And but the thing is, because our community is very new compared to other discipline, it's a bit back on this kind of thing.
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
like in yoga, for example, like I've done a lot of teacher training, and I have a lot of friends and teacher that are very popular in the yoga community. And
Sure.
I've had this discussion many times where they would tell you like, do not do collaboration when you don't get paid and stuff like that. And I think it's great for the the industry that are very developed and
Yeah,
like where it's done a lot. But when it's beginning in like a newer field, it's harder to do
of
it for
course.
brands and
Yeah,
to find this kind of contract. So I think we
I agree.
should, but it's not that easy to implement.
Yeah, I mean, Pole Junkie is obviously one of the biggest brands. Sort
Yeah.
of, well, that's the thing. They're not really a brand. So this
No.
is where I think the lines are blurred because it's really difficult. I mean, so I'm going to go back to what I was saying a second ago. So this is credit to a Black Stage on Instagram. If you want to go and follow them and check them out, it's BLXCKSTAGE. And they've made a post, and just in case you're trying to look for it, is called Average Rates for Pole Performers. And then on this, it says an Instagram feed post, you're looking at an average in US dollars of $562. I mean, I think that's very high. I mean, for an Instagram
Yeah.
reel, $374 dollars, which, and again in pounds would be maybe £300, maybe. Um, I run a big page called Polobs, which is just like a
Yeah.
comedy page. It's got a lot of followers on it, and I would never be able to charge that. I mean, I'd love to. Let me tell you, like backstage, I hope that we get to that. I really do. I I just wish I could. But and I feel like if we're working with bigger brands now, I know obviously. So that was an average, by the way, for anyone listening to this. If you're not going to go and look at the post, but so they've taken the lowest amount that someone's been paid and the highest amount, and they've kind of gone for an average number. So obviously, it all depends on how many followers you have. depends, like what your content is that you're providing and stuff. That's obviously going to change the amount that you should be paid. But I think it's difficult for people like Pole Junkie. I'm not defending that they don't pay people, but what I will say is that obviously they are selling other people's products, right?
Yeah.
And those products, obviously, they probably don't make a massive markup on them. They probably don't make loads and loads and loads off of them. So to then pay someone on top, I guess I wouldn't know, but I'd assume it's probably possible for them. But it's very difficult when you're selling other people's stuff. But could they pay, how much was it again? £500 or $500 for one post? I don't know, and
That's a
what would
lot.
they get from it? It's a lot of money. I don't
Yeah.
know whether they could afford it, but in yoga, obviously for the yoga community, I mean, Aloe Yoga, for example, is probably worth millions and millions, maybe even billions. Like, it's a huge, huge company.
Yeah.
They have shops in the center of London. Like, it's a very different industry. What are your thoughts on payment for posts and stuff? Like, where do you think, like, how much do you think someone should charge? Let's say, for example, a brand contacted someone and they had 20,000 followers, let's say, and a brand contacted them and said, listen, we want to work with you. How much do you charge for a reel? How much do you think is reasonable? And you don't, if you don't know, just
I
have a guess.
I don't honestly, I really don't know. I think it's really a case by case. Like, you
Mm,
just have to see what you're ready to it also depends, like, is it a post that you would normally do and that you will happily do, or is it something that you wouldn't do otherwise? I think it depends so much. I really, really don't know. It also depends on the brand,
yeah,
because, like, it's like with performing. If it's, I don't know, you're doing it for some friend in that having an event, you're not gonna ask the same thing than if it's Coca-Cola asking you to perform at
of
one of their
course.
event. Like, they obviously don't have the same budget. So
Yeah. I was talking to someone on this podcast called Tara Margulies, and she kind of does a lot of influencing within Pole, but also out of Pole. So she does a lot of working with other brands between both industries. And she was saying to me that, brands that are big companies outside of Pole, you can get so much more money.
yeah,
Like, she was telling, and I can say this because she did say it publicly on the podcast, but, she got paid like 5 grand for one Instagram reel, for one video
yeah,
from
yeah,
a
yeah.
big
The
brand.
prices are crazy, but not in the pole industry. The
Absolutely
it
not.
like in the influencing and content creating world outside of pole dancing, you have some crazy, crazy prices. Like,
I agreed.
creators are getting paid so much, and I'm not saying they shouldn't be paid that much, but, like, they earned their followers and whatever. But yeah, it's definitely not the same price range.
Yeah, and I think it's not to say, and I want to reiterate this because I'm really friendly with Pole Junkie, and like Pole Junkie, they always donate to my things and stuff. I kind of use them because obviously you work for Pole Junkie, but um, it was more like, obviously we're still behind as an industry when it comes to things like that
Yeah.
because we're so much smaller. Do you think that brands are taking advantage of the fact that there are pole dancers out there who are willing to just do it for free? And I say brands and not specifically Pole Junkie now,
Yeah.
because Pole Junkie are selling other people's stuff. That's different. I feel like it's different for them because they aren't the brand. So they're not having this pole set made for £10 and then selling it for £60. I feel like it's different for them. With an actual brand, do you feel like some of them could actually afford to be paying people for this, and they should be?
I think some brands are definitely taking advantage of that. Definitely. There are just the fact that people are using their product, posting free content on Instagram, and then they're reposting it and using it sometimes
Mm,
without asking. Um,
Right.
like obviously it's the internet, it's social media, but it's gonna be used. But I think some brands, not all of them, and not everyone, but some brands are taking advantage of it, and they are
For
definitely
sure.
gonna try to just send something for free in exchange of post or stuff like that,
Yeah.
instead of paying. And I've like, because even though I'm working with Paul Jenke, I sometimes get messages about brands who wants to like do a collab or stuff like that. And sometimes I just want to say like, even even if I wasn't doing an exclusivity contract or something like that, like I'm not gonna do for one outfit, I'm not gonna do like, I don't know, 10 stories and like three posts, and like you can't ask that much without paying me just for
No,
one outfit. That's
I have
crazy.
heard that there are a lot of brands that are asking, like, oh, we'll send you this outfit for 3 reels, 10
Yeah, no.
stories. And I'm like, whoa. I guess the difference is, though, and again, I'm going to mention Hella Heels here because I was just chatting to Harriet the other day. And, Harriet said to me, you know, with her, like people that she uses for creating content and stuff, she will offer people if they want some free heels. She'll send them the heels, and if they create content, that's amazing. And she's like super happy with that. But if they don't, she never feels about any way about it because she doesn't pay them. So she
Yeah,
understands that when you send the heels, there is that element of risk that maybe content won't be created. However, what she did say was that when people do create content with her heels, she'll then send them more. and
yeah,
I like that way because for some, I mean, heels are expensive. Let's be honest about that. So
yeah,
heels are expensive. So I think for some people, it does make a lot of sense because, she sends me heels. And I'm always like, you know what? I don't mind not being paid because I'm going to wear them anyway and I
yeah,
need them anyway. I'm either going to buy them or I'm just going to get them for free and just tag her in the video that I was always going to tag her in anyway. But what I wouldn't do is if someone said to me like, "Oh, we'll send you free heels, but we need a video where you're doing this and this and this and
yeah.
this, and we need this." I wouldn't do that. But if they're
No.
happy for me to just post my normal content and just tag them, that's not really an issue for me. So do you think that's okay, like that scenario?
Yeah, that's much better. When I was not working with Paul Janke before, that was the kind of collab I would accept. Like if people were like, "Oh, can we send you an outfit?" and that's it. Like they're happy if I do create content with it and post with it, then I'm very happy to get your outfit and see if I like it and see like, fine, I will probably use it. If I like it, I will actually use it a lot. But I wouldn't do like the stuff where you don't get paid, but then you have to create an X amount of posts and stuff with it. Like that's not good. But if they just send it to you and hope you use it, I think that's fine. You don't like, you have no obligation. You just do whatever you want, and that's
Agreed.
actually I'm more like, I'm happier to do it for you if you don't try to use me like this. Actually,
Right.
you
Yeah,
know.
I've always found like I'm more inclined to post stuff if they haven't asked me to. Like if they've
Yeah,
just sent me stuff, just hey, we just want to send you some of our stuff. Let us know if you have
yeah,
any feedback on it. And then if it's really good, I'll be like, ah, shit, I'm gonna post it. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
But
exactly.
yeah, I think
I'm happy
I
to
think
promote something that I like and use all the
mm,
time.
I think we've got a long way to go as an industry. I think it's
We do.
something that is getting better for sure. There are definitely people being paid because I've been paid to do it before. Um, And it's not been a lot of money, but it's a contribution. And I think it's more about, and I've said this before, and actually I said this to Tara, and she didn't necessarily agree with this, but I said to her, I said, I feel like there needs to be even just like a gesture. Even if you said, listen, we're going to send you this. If you could do 3 reels for us, we'll pay you £20 per reel. Now, listen, £20 for a reel is ridiculous. Like,
Yeah.
it's not enough at all. But at least it's like, if it's a smaller company, they're newer, maybe they don't have a lot of money, maybe I would say yes, because I'd be like, do you know what? We're in the pole industry. We all got to help each other out. I probably would, but if it's a bigger brand, I feel like I've I've noticed, and I'm going to say the name because I have mentioned it before, but Dragonfly used to contact a lot of pole dancers more years ago. I don't know if they do so much now, but they would like just send them free
Yeah,
outfits in exchange for posts. But this is a company that works like that are quite big. They work with the sort of like yoga industry and stuff. So they definitely could have afforded to pay people, but they didn't because they knew that if someone wanted money, they would just go to someone else. They knew there was always someone
yeah,
who
they
was
could.
willing to take nothing.
Yeah, I used to work with them before doing working with Paul Jenky, but they wouldn't ask me a number. Like they would just send me the outfit, and whatever happens, happens.
Oh, they didn't ask you for
I,
posts or
I didn't
contracts or
have like a
anything.
number of specific posts to do or anything like that. But it was a long
There
time
was
ago.
there was a period where they were trying to get people to sign contracts and stuff, and that's when it kind of really kicked off a bit, and people were talking about it because they were trying to get people to sign contracts, and that was when I think people were like, no.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, now a lot of the content that you make some really interesting, eye-catching content where you're using really cool transitions, or you've edited your video in a really cool way. Oh my God. There is one you're doing at the moment that looks so crazy. You've got like an outfit and then you swipe it and it ends up on your body.
Yeah.
Where the hell do you learn to do stuff like that?
I just look on the internet and watch tutorials if I don't know how to do something. I
That's so. And
I
is there
either
someone that you
look like
recommend
on the
following?
sorry.
Is there someone that you recommend following that does
Oh
tutorials on some
no,
of
I
this?
just randomly I don't follow anyone for tutorials. I just randomly try to find. I'm very I don't know. I'm just like, oh, I wonder how I could do that, and then I try to type something. You can. I would recommend looking on TikTok because
Right,
a lot of people are showing a lot of tutorials on TikTok, and a lot are very well made. But you can find like very nice tutors. But I don't have someone specific because it just happens sometimes. I just see a transition and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna try to do that, and I either know how to do it, I do it on the editing, and if I don't, I just look for how to do it.
right. Yeah, I've noticed. Do you find that content like that performs better? Do you find it gets you more engagement?
It really depends. But yeah, sometimes yes. It sometimes it really works well. But you know what? It's the kind of content that takes so much time to create. It's
Oh my God,
even
yeah, I
longer.
can
Like
imagine.
it takes so much time. It's harder not to film, but because it's just like most of those video I do basically nothing, but just the changing the outfit and stuff like that. It takes just filming is longer than a trick or a choreo or a combo or something like that, or the tuto. It's really longer to film, and then you spend so much time editing. So it's the kind of content that takes a lot of time.
Do you post every day?
No, I used to post every day, but as I said earlier, I took a step back because I have much less time. So,
Hmm.
but I'm very hoping to do more. I've been wanting to come back to posting more and creating more content. I'm trying to jungle with everything to like have a better schedule to do everything.
Do you find that since you've stopped posting every day that your following has slowed down, or is it the same?
I think it did slow down, of course, a bit because I post probably once a week, sometimes twice a week, but I don't post more. I used to post every day.
Right.
So it does work a bit on your engagement, and also on how many people follows you, how many how many people finds you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Definitely, it
And
will impact your following.
how many followers have you got at the moment?
I think a bit less than 57. Yeah, I have
Okay,
like 56 and 900 on
nice.
Instagram, and I don't even remember on TikTok because it changed. Mm-mm-mm. On TikTok, I have like 69 and 500, something like that.
Nice. Now, did you find that something that you did really helped grow that following? Like, is there anything that you can recommend to people on and like that will help them grow the same way it helped you grow? Did you have a post go viral? Did you change the way you were posting and that helped? What made you get to that number?
So on Instagram or on TikTok, because I feel like it's very different. If
Well, tell us for both.
Instagram, I started like a long time ago, and in the beginning, it was very much just like my poll journal or something like that. I didn't try to create something. I wasn't even teaching, or it wasn't like it was my window as a pole teacher as it is now. Like
Mm-hmm.
now I'm using it for work. At the time, I was using it for my pole journey, but Instagram was very different. We had like mostly pictures, and when we had videos, it was like 15-second video, and we would like speed them up to be able to fit a bit of a combo. So it was so different.
I
But
remember those times.
yeah,
Good times.
at the time, what helped a lot was the fact that it was mostly photos, and I was doing a lot of photo shoots. So I had a lot of like tricks in pictures with high quality pictures and like contortion tricks, which can be a bit, I'm not saying I'm impressive, but I mean, it's still like a lot of flexibility for most people. So it was a bit more impressive and stuff like that. So this kind of content worked very well at the time. Photos don't do that well now. It's more
Right.
the videos that are the thing of the moment. But at the time, it helped my content and my following a lot.
Yeah, I
And
definitely think that now photos for sure don't do as well. Like
yeah,
they're
they don't.
definitely pushing reels. Reels do a hell of a lot better, don't
Yeah.
they?
And in general, when they do like a new featuring, they're gonna try to really push it. So they're like people using this new featuring are gonna be more shown on everyone's page, and like it's gonna help you grow your following. Like when they did the reels in the beginning, if you were using reels, you would get like a lot of view because they were
Right.
pushing the reels because they wanted people to use the new featuring. They're doing that every time they do something new on the app.
Yeah, I think that's a really good tip actually. Every time they do something new, try and just get on board with it because
Yeah.
if you do, they almost reward you for it
Yeah, they
because
will.
yeah, like people are obviously a bit skeptical at first, but if you can just hop straight on board with it and just make it work, then yeah, definitely you're going to be pushed forward. I
Yeah.
mean, to wrap up, what would you say are like your main? So that was a great tip, actually. What other tips do you have for someone who's listening to this now that wants to grow their social media and wants to do what you're doing? Like, what would you recommend them to do?
Authenticity, be genuine with your audience, and like being true to yourself and to what you think, what you feel like, but also, of course, consistency. Because if you post only like once every 2, 3 weeks, once a month, it's not gonna give you a very good result. And also engaging with your audience. Like that's a very big point. If you
Yeah.
want your followers to feel valued, you have to respond to comments, to messages, and really interact with them, with your followers. I think that's a big thing.
I love that. And what would you say are your, like, do you have any things that you think people should avoid doing when it comes to social media to, help them?
Um, well, it's a bit of the same. Like, uh, don't overpost. You have to be
Right.
consistent, but don't overpost, because if you just bombard your followers with too much content, that's maybe lead to disengagement and
Yeah,
unfollows.
for sure.
Um, and don't neglect your following, which is basically the opposite of what I just said before. But that's so important, you know. Like,
You're like, don't neglect your following, and then you're like, oh, I only post twice a week.
no, yeah, no. But when I mean what I mean, well, when I said don't neglect, I mean with the comments and the message, and when people talk to you, don't just post and then be done with it.
Right. So are you talking like, do you have full conversations with them? Are you like responding to their, because someone actually said like, I can't remember who it was, because one of their tips was, you know, respond to your followers. Like if they've taken time out of their day to put a really nice comment, send something really nice back to them. And I was like, that's actually a really cute idea, because sometimes I will just reply with like an emoji. I'll just be like, oh, thank you, and then an emoji. And they were saying like they find it does better if they start actually saying something back rather than just like a quick emoji, or do you know what I mean? Like if
Yeah,
someone says, oh, this choreo was really, really beautiful, saying like, thank you so much, I really appreciate your comment, and then a heart.
yeah.
Like it only takes that couple of seconds more to type or to dictate, and that helps. Do you find like you do stuff like that, or do you kind of
I
just more
try
do
to.
shorter comments?
I try to. Sometimes I just don't know. Like, if the comment is just an emoji, I'm like, I don't really know what to comment either, other than
Right.
another emoji.
I think
But
I think I think that's yeah. I think comment with an emoji. If someone puts an emoji on your video, I think commenting with an emoji is fair.
y- but if the people like write something, even just one word, I try to answer with words. And also, I think it's not like um the truth, the holy truth, or anything, because I don't really know. But I think for the algorithm and like the social platform, when you do answer with word, I think it's better for your post and your how it's gonna do.
I noticed as well, and actually, this is something that I hadn't even thought to ask any of the other people, because all the other people that I've spoken to all speak English. Now, obviously, your main language is French, but and I just literally looked because I just went to check, so I thought of that, and I was like, oh, I wonder if she posts in French, but actually, it's all showing up in English. What's your reasoning behind that? Is it just because it's an international language, or what makes
Yeah,
you post in English rather than French?
I started just because the thing is, when I started social media, I just wanted to connect with more pole dancer because I was very passionate about pole dancing. I just wanted to share. And the thing is, it was much more developed abroad, and you had a wider range of people you could reach if you talk in English, because most of the people can understand each other in English, because obviously
Absolutely.
English speakers speak English. But also the foreigners, we also, a lot of us do speak English too, so it was the easiest way to communicate. And yeah, that's it.
I think, yeah, I totally agree with you actually. And one thing I've always noticed is that people who, so especially within the exotic community, because the Russian exotic girls, lots of them will sometimes still only post in Russian. And I noticed that the ones who do really well tend to post in English. And I guess like, it's not to say that, posting in your own language is a bad thing. I know there are some people that will post in both. They'll post Russian and then underneath they'll post the English. And that's clever as well, because they appreciate that they've got a good following of people that are Russian, but they also have some that are English. So they post both languages. I think that's really clever. But I think for anyone listening to this who isn't an English speaker, I'm namely thinking of like maybe Germans, for example, because I've noticed that some of my German students will post in German. That will obviously get you a German following, which is great, but it's not going to help you with many of the other countries, big countries like the US, Australia, New Zealand, the UK, all of these English speaking countries. is not going to get you the following that you want from them. And if your content is good, it has to be really fucking good if you're going to post in a different language, because I don't really follow many people who don't speak English because I don't really understand what they're saying. So it
Mm.
kind of ruins the experience for me. So
Yeah,
yeah, I
it's a
think
bit
that's
frustrating when you don't get it. When I see, like, to take the example of the Russian girl, sometimes when I see the question and ask in the stories and it's only in Russian, it's very
right.
frustrating because I'm noisy, so I want to know
Oh my God, yeah.
what it
Don't you hate that as
says.
well? You know, like when people are like posting, maybe they're posting like some drama on their stories, and it's all in Russian, and the little translate button isn't at the top because they've maybe made this story in a different app. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, I want to know what it says. But yeah, that's my nosy side coming out. I'm
yeah,
always like, oh, I wonder what it says. I want to know what it says in English.
same. But the
So
thing is,
bad.
I think, for to come back to what you were saying, I think it really depends on what you're expecting from your account. As I said, I was trying to reach as many people because I just wanted to share with everyone. And
For
I
sure.
was not even trying to grow my account. It was not even
Uh-huh.
the goal. But if I do put, like, for the studio, for example, the goal is to reach mostly a French audience because that's the
Yeah.
people that are mainly going to come at the studio, take the class. So it's
Yeah.
exclusively in French
Right.
mostly. And
Yeah.
if
And
we
that
put
makes
something in
sense.
English, it will be in French and in English, but it will never be just in English. But because the goal is very different, you're not looking to attract the same people.
Of course. And that's a really important point as well. And I have said this a few times on the other podcasts as well. But for anyone listening to this, like, is like, oh, this is a lot of work. Like, I want to post in my own language or whatever. There's nothing to say you can't. It's that whole thing of, I'm just telling you that if you want to grow your following, of course, these are considerations that you might want to make. But it's not for everyone. Listen, this social media life is so much more work than people think it is. And that's really another reason why I did this podcast,
Really.
because I wanted people to understand how much shit we actually do. Like, it's crazy. I just can't. Sometimes when I think about the hours I spend working on my social media content, looking at other social media content, I'm like, damn, this is a lot of hours on social media. It's crazy.
It is. It really is. And if you want, also, like, when you want to create content, like, for example, the funny video or stuff like that, you also have to find ideas. And looking at social media also helps with the creativity and stuff like that. But just
Yeah,
looking at it, it's also time consuming, like that's
right.
time you're not doing something else.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely that's a great tip as well. Like, you know, you're going to get ideas for your content by scrolling through. And I know, like, my husband's always like, "Why are you scrolling?" Like, I'm like, let's be honest, I'm scrolling because I want to scroll, I guess. But also, this is how I get all my ideas. This is how I'm
Yeah,
saving videos for things that I want to try doing, or, you know, combos I want to try, or a different style of posting I want to try. So, yeah, it's trial and error system. You just got to try it, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But yeah. Um, Listen, thank you so much for coming onto the podcast. I really appreciate you taking some time out of your day to join me. Where can people find you on Instagram and TikTok? What are your names on both profiles?
it's the same on both. It's MLEMOMOPOWER. So basically it's like Miss but in French.
Yeah.
uh,
So it's
so
like Miss Momo kind of thing. But if you type Momo
exactly.
in, I'm pretty sure. So for anyone who didn't catch that, but I'm pretty sure if you just type in Momo, it
I
does
think
come
it's you
up.
if you
It,
tap Momo Power, most of the time it comes up, except when I'm shadow bound.
oh,
when
sure.
when you're
Yeah.
shadow banned, you have to tap the whole thing with no mistake if you want to find someone. But
Okay, well, I'll
otherwise,
reiterate it again, just for anyone who's listening who didn't hear it the first time. It's MLEMOMO Power, and that is the Instagram and the TikTok. But yeah, so go and check Momo out because I really like her content, and it's going to give you lots of ideas for things that maybe you could do on your own social media as well. So make sure you go and check her page out. But yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming on, and I hope I'll get to
thank you
see you
for
at
having
some
me.
point soon. I'll see you in Paris, maybe.
Yay!
Yay! Bisous!
Bye bye!
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I really hope that you enjoyed it and that you're enjoying this series. We've got lots more to come, so I will see you on next week's episode. Bye!
That was all the tea that you can get this week. Join me next time right here. It's the Weekly Tea.